Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're striking in for a session that feels less like a research paper and more like a blueprint for, well, for surviving a hidden war zone.
That's a good way to put it.
Our source material is the PanAust Group's Unexploded Ordnance Safety Standard. And this is not a suggestion box. This is a rigorous, mandatory set of rules.
Absolutely. It details how a massive organization operates in places where, deadly explosives from decades ago are a real, recognized, and frankly, terrifying threat.
Right. I mean, for most of us, UXO is this distant, abstract thing.
But for companies working in post-conflict regions, managing land means managing these potentially fatal hidden objects. So our mission today is to distill the core principles, some of which are genuinely shocking, to help you understand the sheer rigor required when lives are actually on the line.
The first thing that really jumps out is just the scope. It applies to all land.
All of it. Owned, leased, managed, accessed.
Any ground PanAust touches, basically, where UXO is a real and recognized risk. They're taking full responsibility for ground that could be, booby-trapped by history.
And that responsibility forces an immediate, non-negotiable rule. If you take away only one thing from this entire standard, it's this.
The golden rule.
The golden rule. Under no circumstances shall any employee, contractor, or even a visitor approach or handle potential UXO. Period.
I love how clear that is. It just cuts through any curiosity, any operational pressure. You see it, you stop, you call the professionals.
It has to be that clear. The standard says that only competent persons working for an accredited UXO contractor can conduct clearance and disposal.
So it's not just a safety rule, it's a scope of work rule.
Exactly. If you're a PanAust employee, touching it isn't just dangerous, it's literally not your job.
Okay, so let's unpack how they build that system of control. Because before a contractor even shows up, the internal planning has to be perfect.
It starts right at the top. PanAust requires a comprehensive risk register. And this isn't just a checkbox saying UXO risk exists.
It's more detailed than that.
Oh, way more. It has to detail all the hazards associated with UXO right through the whole life cycle, from the first survey to the clearance to the final handover.
And getting access to a site. It's not up to a field supervisor, is it?
Not at all. Entry into a suspected UXO area needs specific written authorization from a general manager.
So it goes right to the executive level. Why so high up?
It connects the operational risk directly to corporate accountability. The C-suite needs to know the exposure, and that approval only comes after a site-specific UXO risk assessment has been signed off. It keeps the danger visible at the top.
And then you have the on-the-ground paperwork. The Job Safety Analysis, or JSA.
The JSA is the constant reality check. It's mandatory for any non-routine activity, anything done for the first time, or, and this is the crucial part, any time environmental conditions change.
Okay, so if you did the assessment on a dry day, and then it pours with rain.
The activity stops. It's no longer routine. The ground shifts, visibility changes, something could get exposed. You need a new JSA, a total reevaluation of the controls.
That must be incredibly frustrating for timelines.
It's the cost of doing business safely. And that vigilance extends to emergency response, too. On an active site, they have to document and test their emergency procedures with drills regularly.
You don't want the first time you run the procedure to be the real thing.
You really don't. And there's one personnel requirement here that just speaks volumes.
The medic.
The medic. A trained medic from the UXO contractor must be on site for all clearance and disposal activities. If that medic isn't there, for any reason,
Work stops.
immediately. It's a powerful trigger. They're basically saying the work is so dangerous that you need a specialist medic, someone who knows blast trauma, standing by at all times.
And what about visitors? We mentioned them earlier. The protocol is pretty intense.
Intense is the word. You have to be authorized, of course, but you also have to be escorted by a minimum of a level 2 explosive ordnance disposal technician.
A level 2 EOD tech. So that's not just a security guard.
No. This is a highly trained, supervisory level expert. You're dedicating one of your most valuable assets just to walk a visitor around. It shows they treat the risk to a visitor as seriously as the risk to their own crew.
That's an incredible use of resources. So moving from people to the place itself, how do they physically mark out the danger zone?
The UXO active areas have to be demarcated with barriers, with warning signs, and the system has to comply with local standards, or if those don't exist.
They default to a higher standard.
Right. They default to the International Mine Action Standards, or IMS. It sets a global gold standard no matter where they're operating.
And they keep a permanent record.
A permanent record. Every exploration base has a register of clearance projects with precise map locations. They're creating an archive of safety.
Okay, let's talk about moving around in these uncleared areas. The main rule is pretty simple, right?
Don't disturb the ground. Don't poke the sleeping dragon, as you said.
So you stick to paths that are already cleared or well used.
Generally, yes. But here's where the detail really gets you. Even those well-used tracks have to be checked.
You can't just assume they're safe.
No. Vehicle tracks have to be deep searched and marked before they can be used in an active area. This is where the pathfinding team comes in.
And they do two different kinds of searches, a shallow and a deep search.
Exactly. The first is the shallow search. They investigate and clear everything down to a depth of 0.25 meters.
25 centimeters. So what's the point of that? What does that get you?
It gives you a safe surface for non-intrusive work.
Yeah.
Safe to walk on, drive a light vehicle over, do some surface level surveying. It's about mitigating immediate contact risk.
But if you need to do more,
If you need to do more, you need the deep search. That follows the shallow one and goes down to a maximum depth of 2.5 meters.
10 times deeper.
10 times deeper. And that's absolutely essential if you're planning any major ground disturbance, building foundations, deep excavation, anything like that.
So the clearance level depends entirely on the intended use.
That's the key insight. You clear for purpose. It's a very sophisticated way to manage risk and, frankly, cost.
And as the pathfinders find things, they just mark them.
Mark them, demarcate them, and then the responsibility shifts entirely to the disposal team. Disposal is solely the UXO contractor's job.
And they have to do it as soon as possible. But what if they can't? What if they're in the middle of nowhere?
The standard actually accounts for that. If it's safe to move, the UXO can be temporarily buried by the contractor.
Wait, they bury again.
Temporarily. But this creates a whole new problem. They then have to post security guards at the burial site to stop anyone from digging it up or stealing it.
Wow. So then we get to the actual disposal.
Yeah.
Destroying it on site. The safety distances here are just staggering.
They really are. They set up 2 exclusion zones. All non-UXO contractor equipment trucks, generators, all that expensive gear has to be at least 250 meters away.
Okay, 250 meters for equipment.
But for people, for any non-UXO personnel, the exclusion distance is 500 meters.
500 meters.
Yeah.
Half a kilometer.
Half a kilometer. It's a clear calculation. You can replace a truck. You can't replace a person. That distance is what protects you from the blast. And more importantly, from high-velocity shrapnel.
So once all that risk is managed and the ordnance is destroyed, the land is ready to be handed back to PanAust.
And that's not done with a handshake. It's a formal process.
The formal clearance certificate.
Exactly. The certificate is the legal and operational bridge between hazardous land and a safe work site. And the requirements for it are incredibly strict.
So you need all the quality control checks done. The area has to be physically marked.
And crucially, they must provide the GPS coordinates of the cleared area.
EGPS. That's not just regular GPS, is it?
No. DGPS is differential GPS. Your phone might get you within a few meters. DGPS is accurate down to the centimeter. That precision is non-negotiable because decades later, there can be zero confusion about which piece of ground is safe.
Okay, so we've cleared the land down to 2.5 meters. We have centimeter accurate coordinates. We've signed the certificate. It's safe forever now, right?
And that is the big aha moment in this document. Clearance is absolutely not permanent.
How is that possible? Recontamination. Did they miss something?
No, it's the environment itself. The standard gives these vivid examples. They warn about UXO migrating into sediment traps after heavy rain.
So a storm can wash a bomb from an uncleared area right into your freshly cleared zone.
Precisely. The weather is literally moving the threat. Or it could be a landslide or migration into drainage canals. Any area altered by what they call external processes.
A single storm could make $1 million clearance certificate worthless.
In an instant. So before re-entering any of those altered areas, the whole risk assessment has to be reviewed again.
It's not a one-time project.
Yeah.
It's perpetual liability management.
It is. And the paper trail reflects that. Clearance registers, survey reports, training records. It's an archive of control. That history has to be instantly accessible, maybe 50 years from now. It's bureaucracy as a life-saving tool.
So to pull this all together, this deep dive shows that managing this kind of hidden, deadly risk demands an almost fanatical level of procedure. We learned that safety is measured by use. The difference between that shallow 25-centimeter search for walking and the deep 2.5-meter search for building.
We saw the 500-meter personal exclusion zone.
And maybe the most surprising thing, that the environment itself can rearm a cleared area, forcing you to start all over again.
The ultimate lesson, I think, is that with an invisible, catastrophic threat, safety can't be a general idea. It has to be built on clear, measurable, and often very expensive rules, specified down to the centimeter and the coordinate.
So here's a final thought, and this comes right from the source material. The standard spends a huge amount of time just defining terms, everything from clearance worksite to level 2 EOD technician. Why is that level of definitional detail so critical in a life or death situation like this?
Because when the rules are mandatory and they involve explosives, there can be zero room for ambiguity. None.
Everyone has to be on the exact same page.
The exact same word on the exact same page. The strict definitions ensure that when the document says cease work or establish a 500-meter perimeter, every single person, no matter their language or background, understands that instruction to mean one specific life-saving action. It's about eliminating human interpretation when the stakes are this high.
A system built on precision to counter chaos. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the absolute necessity of rigorous standards when dealing with the most dangerous hidden threats. We'll see you next time.